From product development to innovation to hiring, there are many workplace decisions that are made by aggregating the input from multiple individuals. And this makes a lot of sense because we think to the wisdom of the crowd, something that's over a century old, it tells us that our ability to actually aggregate independent opinions from lots of people actually do much better than if we were to ask one or two people their opinion. However, in professional settings, the way evaluation processes are often structured is that these opinions aren't really independent. Instead, you actually have access to or understand what others who come before you, how they've evaluated that something or someone you might be interested in. So I was interested in kind of understanding how this structural component or design of evaluation processes affects how professionals evaluate the quality of something that they're interested in assessing the accuracy of. So I was able to gain access to these investment professionals who come together on this online platform to discuss investment recommendations. So this is to buy or sell stocks. But as a part of it, they can actually rate the quality of each other's recommendations using this simple 5-star system. And this is really cool kind of quasi-experiment on the platform where until 4 total ratings have occurred, the average rating to date is actually not visible to the users of the platform. Meaning that if you or I went to the platform to a recommendation and 4 ratings hadn't happened, we wouldn't see an average rating. But as soon as the 4th rating occurred, we'd actually see that average rating to date. So what you can actually do is see how do people evaluate in periods that they can't see the average rating to date versus when they can see the average rating to date. And then there's this figure in the paper that actually plots 2 important things. First is what is the likelihood that someone actually evaluates once they can see this average, and then how do they evaluate? And what we see in the period before the rating becomes visible is that people rate at about a 10% rate, meaning that 10% of all people who click on or view a recommendation leave their opinion of its quality. But as soon as that rating becomes visible, once that 4th rating occurs, that rate drops by more than half. Now less than about 4% of people actually leave their opinion of quality. But most consequentially, what do those people who actually rate say? Well, they actually rate very similar to the rating that they see. When they're not able to see what others have said, they kind of rate independently. They haven't seen what anyone has said, so they leave their own opinion of quality. But as soon as that rating occurs, their ratings actually move 50 to 60% closer to the ratings of their peers. And what's surprising about this is that first, these individuals are anonymous, meaning that they aren't doing it because they want others to see that they're doing it. They're doing it because they think they're reflecting their actual opinion, but it's much different once they can see others have said something versus when they can't see what others have said. And I think this actually points to an important takeaway in terms of how are we going to structure these evaluation processes? Because it makes a lot of sense why we might want all the employees to kind of chime in about a potential hire or potential innovation. But if they're able to see how others in the department or their organization have rated, they might actually just be kind of an echo chamber, giving back the same thing that they've seen others say before them. So we might want to think carefully about when and how should we allow others to kind of express their evaluations openly. And it kind of takes us to a second important finding of the paper, which is that I can actually indicate or identify individuals with the most expertise in what they're actually evaluating. So while these individuals are professionals, so they all have a baseline expertise on how do they think about investment recommendations, this is what they do on a day-to-day basis. There's some people for a given recommendation who have actually talked about that recommendation before, or they study that stock. So they should have a lot of what I call demonstrated expertise. And I actually find that those individuals are actually moved by seeing the ratings of others. So they resist this convergence. They rate the same before or after actually having that rating available to them. So for organizations who are thinking about kind of opening up their evaluation processes, allowing individuals to kind of rate more openly, we might want those individuals to go first if we have to open it to everyone. Because if not, we risk letting people, or especially the initial people who actually evaluate their favoritism or their biases, kind of bleed into the process and causing a snowball effect, such that more people are rating, but what actually happens is we're getting more of the same.